Okay, so welcome everyone. It's Paul Clifford, and today we're going to be talking about paid traffic. And I've got with me on the line Brad Goss. Hi, Brad.
Hey, Paul.
How
How
you
are you?
doing? You all right?
I'm great, man. Yeah, how about you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Look, thanks for coming on board. I thought, what I wanted to do really is just talk about the whole notion of paid traffic, because SEO now is just becoming such a complete nightmare. Because it's just so unpredictable. And as you may know, I do a lot of curation and sell software that does curation. And curation itself is not bad because that's pretty much algorithm proof because all you're doing is producing good quality content. So as a long-term strategy, that's perfect. But you know, it, in the short term, what people really want and what the big corporates do, is they buy paid traffic, and generally they have a budget and they split it between SEO, and paid, right? Um, so I thought, we'd just go through a few slides, and just talk to people about that and some strategies. And you yourself, I know a lot of people consult with you on paid traffic strategies. So it's really valuable having your time with us, and anything you could share would be really, really great. Is that okay?
Happy to help. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought just to kick off, I thought we'd just highlight one of the big mistakes that a lot of people make, because a lot of people, when I talk to people about paid traffic, they go, oh, that's just so expensive, and it's not true. It's only expensive if you're not getting a return. And what a lot of people miss when they're doing this sort of stuff is they miss one key element, and that is how to account for what we call long-term customer value. Um, and that is that when you're tracking how much you're going to spend on an ad, what you don't take as your conversion value is just the sale or the commission. Yeah, and that's what people think. They think, right, if I make $30 commission on this product, then I only got $30 to spend to get a sale, right? And this is where everything starts going wrong. And instead, what you've got to work out is, how much is that customer worth to you over time? And I put an illustration there that if you've got like a membership site or something, then and let's for an example, this is just an illustration. We've got to do some maths in this, right? If you've got someone on a $30 a month to start membership, and that's how much they're going to pay you, then over 6 months, you're going to make $180. Um, Now, if you just took sort of 50% of that, yeah, and then attributed that, to your spend on your ads, okay, then you've got $90 to spend. I've actually put 180 there, but you've actually got $90 to spend to actually get that customer on board. Does that make sense to you, Brad?
Yeah. And the other thing to think about here is this doesn't just apply to memberships, right? This applies to once you excuse me, once you get somebody on your list, you could possibly make six $30 sales with them over the course of a year if you're mailing them on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So there's a number of ways where it's funny you use long-term customer value. Some of us use lifetime value, LTV. We call it lifetime value. So if you hear me say it, they're interchangeable. They're kind of the same thing: long-term value or lifetime value.
Yeah. Yeah.
Long-term value could be the next year. Lifetime value could be the lifetime of your business with that customer, which can actually even add up to a much higher number. Um, you're fixing your math on there,
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah. I just realized it's.
I like how the British call it maths. They always put
Yeah.
an S at the end of math. I always find it funny when I hear it. It's so cool to hear people say maths. It seems like it would be such a hard word to get out, even though it's one syllable. Maths.
We'll
Feels
just
hard
think.
to say. I'm just messing with you, man.
We'll just think how you
Um,
feel when you get it wrong.
yeah. Wait a minute. I'm Canadian. I'm in between right and wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, no, I'm just messing
We're
with
gonna
you.
start. We're gonna start
No,
playing
but
the niche versus niche again.
hey, I say niche. I'm Canadian, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
say
That's
niche.
true. That's true.
Um, so yeah, you've got to think about what that is for you, and sometimes that's easy math to do. If you just look at your PayPal stats or your ClickBank stats or whatever processor you're using or whatever software you're using, analytics wise, you can see what the value of a customer is. I've got a great little app on my desktop for PayPal called Putler, and it allows me to break down individual customers every year, and it pulls up average customer values, pulls up all kinds of great stats for me, and gives me the numbers that I need. And if you don't know these numbers, you're not being serious in your business. You need to really look at these numbers, work out what these are. If you don't know what they are, you're poking around in the dark, and that's not good. Know what those numbers are, and then you can bank on that with advertising buys.
Yeah, exactly. And just to reinforce what you just said, Putler, so that's Putler, is an awesome tool. So if you use PayPal in your business at all, then you need Putler because it's a dashboard that's complete insight to your whole business via PayPal, and it's really really good for understanding your sales, your trends, and as Brad just said, your LTVs, etc.
Yeah. It's a great little tool. It kind of puts PayPal on steroids. It's like the missing app.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
the app that they should have created. You can manage your account with it, everything. But we're not here to sell Putler, so we can. But yeah, it's a great little dashboard. It's a great little tool, and the more the lesson here is important. The more you know these numbers, the more in tune you are with these numbers, the more successful you'll be. The people who know these numbers are the people who are taking them to the bank.
yeah, totally. Totally. One of the guys I met last year in California, and he's in like the 200K per day type category, and that's how much he makes. And it's all paid traffic, and it's all down to maths, or math. It's all down to the numbers, and he attributes his success to that. He was quite good at maths, so that's where he is now. Um, you know, we're not all necessarily like that, but it doesn't mean we can't get close to those sorts of figures. But he can just see straight away conversion ratios, LTVs, and everything like that in his head. Yeah, so we've got to use a spreadsheet or something, or
Yeah.
correct it on the fly like I have to do. So
Yeah, I don't see it in my head either, my friend.
yeah,
I think that's a unique gift. But you're right on the money, right? Understanding that is it's paramount. It's absolutely paramount. And a lot of people wonder, how do these CPA networks pay a $50 bounty on a free shipping trial?
right.
Well, because they know those numbers. They've dialed in those numbers based on how many free shipping trials they sell versus how many upsells they get and how many memberships they get, and they know that lifetime value. So they can give you an upside down payment, making you wonder how they do it. But they're doing it because if they're giving you $45 bounty, they're making $100 or $200 on that customer or more.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think they make their money back on like something like the third rebill or something like that.
Yep,
So they know they're going to take a loss for the first month or two, um, and then they make their money in sort of month three.
exactly.
Um, so yeah, so I just wanted to paint that whole picture, and that's if you're gonna, unless you're into paid traffic, you've got to get that thing sorted in your head, just so you know what you're playing with, because at the end of the day, it's just a numbers game, right? It's just metrics, and all you're doing is ensuring that you can track those metrics, and as long as you can track them, then you can work out, how much you're spending versus how much you're making, and then you just tune from there. So,
And did we cover what the CAC acronym stands for?
oh,
Did we say that that stands for customer acquisition cost? So LTV is either lifetime value or long-term value, and CAC is cost to acquire customer or customer acquisition cost.
exactly.
Yeah, I just want to, in case anybody's like, what are those?
Yeah, no, good
What
point.
are
Good
those
point.
mean?
I didn't cover that. I didn't cover that. So let's just talk about, right. So we've got an idea of the overriding model. Let's talk about what types of traffic can we get. Yeah. Maybe you can kick off because I think I stole this from one of your images.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, these are the five most common types of advertising online. Search, where we all kind of know the search ad where our ads show up next to or above search results, say on Google. Display is when you have a visible banner showing up on a website, usually next to content. Video. Sometimes they call this. They also refer to this as pre-roll or post-roll. So you go to YouTube now and they've got the little skip ad and they play a commercial. That would be a good example of a video ad. Pop up or pop under. These are one of my favorite sources, showing your landing page in a new window above or behind the window that you're in. So we've all been through this experience where we're on a download website or something, and we go to download a file. We click download. The file starts to download, but then a window pops behind with some type of advertising in it. So that would be an example of a pop under. And then the last one here, a lot of people have trouble pronouncing this. It's interstitial. And interstitial ads are a good example of who does this is Forbes.com, and I think the Wall Street Journal is also guilty of running interstitial ads. So you'll click on a link to an article on the Wall Street Journal or Forbes, and it will show you an ad with a little text link at the top that says, skip this ad. So that's what we call an interstitial ad. It interrupts you, on your way to the content. So those are kind of the most, the five most common paid ad types that you can get online.
Gotcha. Okay.
And to go with what you said here, all of these are, quickly obtainable as opposed to, running some kind of SEO strategy, which I'm not. I still do SEO, but we just don't. It's 5 to 10% of our focus. I don't think SEO. I don't want to diss SEO. SEO is important. It's definitely, and in fact, paid traffic works extremely well with a good SEO strategy in place because Google sees you as a higher authority if you're getting a lot of traffic from outside of SEO. If you're only, if SEO is 100% of your business, it's kind of like, the analogy I always draw with this is like, imagine if you were a fund manager. Would you ever invest in just one stock? Of course not. You'd have a diverse portfolio with lots of different funds in it or different categories of investments. Your traffic should be the same way. SEO should be a percentage of your focus. So should social. So should paid advertising. That should be a big chunk of your focus. Affiliate. All of those things play a role in that diverse traffic portfolio.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing. With any sort of paid traffic, you can turn it on within minutes. They're very happy to take your money, right? So,
oh yeah,
you just set up an account with, you could. Facebook is very easy to get started with. I think Google is a little bit trickier. You have to have much more focus on getting your landing pages very, very compliant. But and apart from Facebook, Brad, what other good sources do you think people should look at?
Facebook is definitely one of the cheapest traffic sources you can get your hands on. If you're starting out, it's a great way to kind of dip your toe in the water and see what happens. But you can also burn through a lot of money there very quickly, and in many cases they're charging multiple dollars per visitor. It's depending on the group that you're targeting, Facebook can be one of the best places to kind of get your feet wet. But you can buy ads just about anywhere. You can buy you can even buy links in email newsletters or solo ads, or there's a number of different places you can get started with a small budget. But I think by far Facebook is one of my favorites.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess the only disadvantage about Facebook is you're not always displaying your ad to people who are in buying mode, right? So people are there either socially or networking or whatever, and so you've really got to interrupt, and grab their attention with whatever ad it is that you're displaying, right?
Like most advertising, that is, I would say that makes up 80 to 90% of the advertising out there. The rest would be targeted, where people are searching for, I need to buy a new hammer, and here's a hammer. You know, the majority of the ads that you see online are usually next to content, usually contextual, as opposed to sort of delivered based on a need to make a purchase right away.
Right.
And usually that traffic is the most expensive to obtain, and usually the in the least supply.
Right. Okay. And also, there's isn't there this whole thing about, you need to get your ad in front of people around 7 times before they will necessarily subconsciously take on that brand. And I think,
Yeah,
yeah,
and in many cases more. On a site like Facebook, where the traffic can be very cheap, if you play your cards right. There's also a lot of banner blindness, so you really have to interrupt patterns, and you know um, just think, a good example. I'll give you a quick tip. If you're using Facebook, and you're buying advertising space on Facebook, and you're putting up images, remember that Facebook is a primarily blue and white website. So use colors that contrast blue. Use yellows. Use reds. Use colors that will draw attention away from the standard scheme.
yeah, exactly. And you can even do silly things on your ads, like put arrows and overlay it with logos and silly things like click here and help and stuff that just stands out, and also make your image or your photo just a little bit obscure, so people, so it catches the eye, and then people would have to almost squint just to look at it to see what it is.
Yeah, beat the
Yeah.
square peg in the round hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, if you're going to be buying ads in that type of situation, where, like Paul said, you're trying to grab attention away from someone who isn't necessarily in buying mode or in action taking mode. You need to interrupt the pattern.
Cool. Okay. Well, let's move on a bit, and
Yeah.
let's talk about what I thought I'd do is, just to illustrate to people what ads you can create that work. What are the key elements that you need to have in your ad, to make it work. I mean, we talked a bit about Facebook there, but let's just talk a bit more about conventional banner ads. So take this one here. I put this one up because, first of all, you start to see some household items, and even though it might not be clear what brands they are, people associate with those brands. Okay, so they sort of mentally recognize that, and then at the top, the headline, which is again designed to, it's normally the next place that people will look. So saying extreme couponing, you know, it says it all, right? But it does raise your eyebrows. Think, well, what does that mean? Yeah. Um, and then every ad needs to have a call to action. Okay. So by putting Go Nuts Now, I've also introduced it as a bit of fun. It's almost a game. Couponing, collecting coupons, and things like that. So, and by taking it to extreme, creates the whole playfulness of the ad.
I love it.
Yeah. Let's look at this one. So this is more of a, like, what, a CPA style ad, and people find quizzes irresistible online. Okay, and this whole ad is just geared around that same concept. Of course, it doesn't matter where you click, whether you click bread, milk, or bacon, you're still going to click the ad, right? um, and um, and the call to action is actually completely the opposite. It's not like click here or anything. It's like, why this ad? Okay, so it's just really raising the sort of inquisitive nature, of the viewer. And the other little trick there is that the image, of the, I guess it's a cheerleader or something like that, is just blurred out. Okay, so it's almost implies that if you click through, you might see a clear image. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, that works extremely well. Anytime you blur out That's very, what you're talking about is very effective in a lot of different ways, not just in the actual display ad, but in the landing page that they come to. Having a blurred out photo or a blurred out a screenshot of what you're going to give them, if you're going to give them a report, like some kind of PDF or an infographic or some type of chart or whatever, show them exactly what you're going to give them, but blur it out.
Yeah.
People are we're driven by curiosity, right? And if you show me a part of something, it's like when you were a little kid and somebody would say, "I have a secret," and you'd say, "Well, go ahead and tell me," and they'd say, "No, I can't tell you," and you can't help but get upset and angry, like, "Well, why? First of all, why are we having this conversation? But more importantly, tell me the fucking secret." you know, we want to know, and so when you see a blurred out photo or a blurred out, this is what I'm going to give you. Don't you want to see it? You can't see it. It really it triggers something in the monkey mind.
Yeah. I know. It's very, very smart. Very smart strategy. Okay. Now, how about this one? So I found this. So I found this image of this girl pouring vanilla ice cream over her head, and it's quite a shocker. So I don't know if the ice cream company ever made money out of that campaign, but I can guarantee one thing: they got a lot of clicks. And so again, I made that a bit of fun. I said, like, tried everything for younger skin, discover. I called it Replenish A's, pretending it's some sort of very sophisticated cream with extract of organic potato juice, and flawless skin is. I can't remember what I said at the end, but so the point of me putting that one in is that is going to get attention, okay, and that's going to get huge click-through rates without a doubt, because it completely goes against the flow for beauty ads, okay. However, will it actually convert into a sale, or will it be profitable? And maybe not, because there's one thing that we all know about beauty ads. We want them to appeal to women who are likely to buy beauty cream, right? And that will get a lot of curiosity clicks, which will completely blow your budget, on actually converting into a serious product. Whereas, that one, for example, is a more classic beauty ad, because you've got a
Now
beautiful girl.
We should point out here, Paul, that it really depends. These two ads are contrasted for a reason, because the one with the ice cream is really best used in a place where you're paying to have your ad there, whether you get clicks or not. If you're paying on a CPM basis, or you're paying a flat fee to have your ad displayed, the more shocking and the more curiosity clicks you get, the better, because you need to get more people to your landing page. Whereas the ad below is much better in a cost per click environment, where the click-through rate is less important because you're only paying for those qualified clicks.
Such a good point. Yeah, exactly. So where you're paying for impressions, it doesn't matter. You just want to get them through and try and convert them anyway.
As many clicks as possible.
Right.
It's all about more clicks at that point. That is your only goal with the banner, is to get clicks. Obviously, those clicks have to convert on the other end, but the more of them you get, the better chance you're going to get on your landing page to get that lead or that sale or whatever it is that you're doing. The one on the one with the the real science, real results is much more straightforward. Definitely going to get a much lower click-through rate, but like you said, probably a little bit more qualified. So if you're paying, if you're on a site where the cost per click is $1 or $2, then you want to have the most straightforward ad possible. In fact, in many cases, we'll put the price in the ad and a buy now button.
That's true. Yeah, because then you're just qualifying out all the uninteresting traffic, the stuff you don't want anyway.
Yeah. So qualify your clicks when you're paying by the click, create curiosity clicks when you're paying for ad space only or impressions only.
Right. Good one.
I don't know if we're going to cover that later or not, but I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, no. I mean, let's just bring it up, as we come up with these ideas and tips for people. I mean, this last one is, a style which, is used quite commonly purely for attention grabbing. Okay. And often in sort of IM niche and places like that. And, by putting the red dashes around, sort of lifts it off the page.
It gives it that coupon look too, doesn't it? It's like like you would see that in a traditional print ad as something to cut out.
Right.
So the dotted line always draws your attention in because it traditionally is a coupon or something.
Gotcha. Yeah, of course.
I love
of
it.
course. Cool.
And I like how you had I like how on this one you've got the arrows pointing to the call to action. It's not just the call to action, but the arrows are pointing in. You've underlined the text. You've done everything to kind of get to make that as draw as much attention to that call to action as you
can. Yeah. And it's worth pointing out that I created all these on Banner Crusher, and Banner Crusher is a software app that I've created to create ads where you don't need any design skills whatsoever. Okay, so all these are just templates, and you just find your own image, type your own text in, and it just chucks out the other end an ad, of whatever size you need.
Of course, you created software to make all these banners, Paul. Of course you did.
Yeah, you can't see me doing that one by one, no.
No, I wouldn't expect any less from you. Paul's the kind of guy when you ask him to chop down a tree, he'll spend all day sharpening the axe and then whack it down with one swipe.
Yeah, I like that.
I love it.
Anything else you think to say on ad styles? Any other tips? If you had smaller space, I guess, because these ads are reasonably large. But if you had something a bit smaller and not the same sort of real estate, would you go more for just a really strong attention grabbing title? What would catch the eye if you had sort of like half the space to play with?
Less is always more when it comes to that kind of a thing. So sometimes with the smallest ad space, sometimes even with a big ad space, I'll have a single word with a question mark. Tired, right. Hungry, overweight, scared. These are the kinds of things that people click on. They're like, what is, the more obscure you are, the better. Sometimes a single word.
Yeah.
Single word with 3 periods or a single word with a question mark can go so far. Single call to action, or something as simple as a title. What it is that you're giving them. What it is that they're going to see when they click.
Gotcha. Yeah, interesting.
Traditionally, like if I'm doing like a 120 by 60, which is a sort of a button-sized banner, I'll make it look like a button.
Right. Yeah.
Order face cream.
Yeah. Click here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And why not? Okay. Cool. So we know all about ads, right? So it's got to be attention grabbing images or colors or anything bright, because you could be in a page that's quite content rich and got lots of other stuff on it. So you need to stand out. Make sure you've got a very strong title or headline, something that creates curiosity or directs someone to do something, and then of course you must have a call to action. Get them to do something. You really need to direct people into what they need to do once they've seen that ad. Okay, so let's just talk about tracking for a minute. I think you can go all the way to buying very expensive tracking software. You can Kissmetrics is a good one, and in fact Tracking 202 is one of the industry stable mates, if you like. You can go a step down and still stay very sophisticated, and you can get Prosper 202 or CPV Lab. Both of those, like Prosper 202, it like installs like WordPress. So if you know how to install WordPress, you can install Prosper 202, and it's free to use. But there is a learning curve. Okay, there's a learning curve into getting that up and running, setting up your campaigns, and it will take a bit of time for you to understand what's going on. But all the people I know use paid traffic that they're using those kind of tools, because it's lots of detail. But if you're not doing paid traffic now and you want to dip your toe in the water and get started, then I know Brad, for example, doesn't use anything other than Google Analytics. Google Analytics is so rich in functionality, and it's just sitting there. It's free for everyone, and you just got to drill down and set it up, right?
I have this conversation with people all the time where they're like, "Don't you use a CPV Lab or what? Don't you use this or that?" And what do you mean? What do you just Google Analytics? Yeah, I kind of like to keep my business simple. I understand Google Analytics. They've got there's a couple they've got a great app for the Android and for the iPad, and there's it's kind of the easiest way for me to look at my numbers. I kind of I'm a portable guy, so I like to have my numbers where I go. I don't want to log into some web page from my phone. There's an easy app to look at all that stuff. They've got real time tracking, which I really like, and it's I don't know. I've always used it, and it's never failed me. It's never been a problem, and I love it. I don't feel the need to be more advanced with my stats. I really just need to know how my sales funnels are going, how my lead funnels are going, and we're going to show some of that stuff because I gave you some screenshots, and I know you brought some in as well. But I like to keep it really simple.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so as you just said, let's just cover that, a little bit.
Yeah.
So one of the key things around analytics is goals. Okay, so I just put a screenshot there so you know where to find it, because you need to go into the admin button, if you like, within analytics, and then go to the goals tab. And then, I mean, perhaps you take over, Brad, because you had a lot more experience with doing this. My goal's quite simple.
Um, Yeah, just put me on the spot now because my VA does a lot of this stuff for me now. But essentially, what you're doing with the goals is you have to set up funnels. So you basically you create these funnels where you can say, okay, when a user goes to this page, then this page, then this page, we'll call this goal new lead, let's say, right? So the customer comes from comes from an outside source, lands on your landing page, fills out the opt-in form, and then lands on your thank you page. The goal is now complete. And so what happens is Google Analytics fires its little code on every one of your pages, and it says, oh yeah, someone came in from outside, landed on this landing page, and then finalized on the thank you page. They'll then register that goal as complete for you, and then you can go in and see basically how many new leads you've generated, and you can even break it down through traffic flow, and you can see how many leads came from this referring URL, or how many leads came from this ad, or there's all kinds of ways you can pass. We can get really geeky here, but there's all kinds of ways you can pass variables through to your goals and all that kind of stuff. But essentially, the simplest, the two simple ways to look at it is a goal completion is a way for you to track a new acquired customer or a new acquired lead. So someone fills out a lead form, lands on your thank you page, goal complete. Or an example of, say, an e-commerce goal would be they go on a product page, they hit the checkout page, and then they hit the thank you page because they've successfully paid.
Right.
Does
And
that cover it?
yeah, pretty much. I think and in what you can do, even at a simpler level, is just set up a goal so that if this one URL was fired or hit or touched, um, then register a goal, and you can call them whatever you want. So, for example, on this screen, you can see there at the bottom, there's like two goals set up: goal one and goal two. One's called checkout, and one's called purchase. And that's simply set up so that if someone puts something in the cart, and goes to the checkout screen, then I track that separately as a goal from when they actually go through and buy it. Yeah, and goal 2, the purchase goal, is set up on the thank you page. So if the person goes to the checkout and then hits the thank you page, then goal 2 fires. Okay, so pretty much as Brad said, but you can define as many as you want and trigger on whatever you want. It's very, very easy to set up.
Yep.
And then this one, Brad's like over time. Then you start looking at your overall picture, right?
Yeah, this is so this is the e-commerce tab underneath just the basic goals. You don't have to go this deep, but when you're starting to track on a higher level, you're going to want to track absolute dollar values of sales. So when someone buys a particular product, we don't just pass the goal value, or we don't just pass the goal, we pass the value of the goal. So that we can actually calculate revenue right inside Google e-commerce, right inside Google Analytics. So this breaks us right down to unique purchases, repeat purchases, average value of the purchase, total revenue, total transactions, the e-commerce conversion rate, which is really important. Everything you basically need to see is in front of you, and this is actually done using an e-commerce analytics plugin. So if you're using any kind of e-commerce software, whether it's built into WordPress or whether you're using Magento or one of the other e-commerce platforms, there's a lot of built-in analytics stuff that will actually do the majority of the coding for you, so you don't have to do this. This is all done with a plugin. This particular, what we're seeing here, is all done with Magento. But it's very simple to pass the dollar values through, and then it's really easy for you to calculate your ROI, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, absolutely, because everything, all the numbers are surfaced really, really simply. So straight from there you can do your calculations.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so so that is for anyone. That's a very, very easy way to set up some tracking. Okay, so you can understand exactly where people are coming from. And the process they're going through to go through to a purchase or even an opt-in, because if you can just get people to opt in and know the cost of that, then from there you can start working on, so if you've got like 1,000 people on your list, you should be able to generate $1,000 a month from them in affiliate sales, for example. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Now, one thing I just wanted to mention here is retargeting. And retargeting is obviously much newer than conventional online advertising, but everyone has experienced this. And just for people who don't know what it is, basically it's when you feel you're being stalked by a brand. So you've gone to their website, and then for the next 3 weeks all you can see is ads for that particular brand. So it's not pure coincidence. So when you first visited their website, they dropped what we call a cookie onto your browser. And so from wherever you're going, any advertising network knows that you visited that site, and they're going to show the ads that are relevant to that site.
Yeah, if you go to Expedia and search for a Las Vegas vacation, but then you don't buy that vacation, and you start surfing around the internet, you're going to be bombarded with ads for Vegas getaways.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And this, and I put the title there, is retargeting could replace opt-ins and pop-ups, because more and more people now are so used to seeing, when they visit a site and they get thrown one of those opt-in forms, the ones that like have a light box, and
Yep.
and you have to really look hard to see how, well, I want to get rid of that thing. So those are becoming less and less effective to getting an email sign up. But what is becoming more effective is retargeting. And if someone's visited your site once, then you can start displaying, your brand to them over and over and over again. And they'll come back to your site through that avenue instead, and that's how you can grab them. Okay, and it's based again on this sort of rule. It's not really a rule actually, but it's a view that people would tend to react to your ad if they've seen your brand several times. Seven times is usual is a notional number. Could be more, could be less, but it's just about when people see it so many times, they're more likely to go back because it kind of builds trust. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
And the last point, which I didn't put on there, and why retargeting is really effective, is it's really cheap. Okay, so you're paying like a tenth to a 50th of the amount you'd pay if you were just to target that demographic normally, through normal advertising. And so it's a really, really good way of keeping people, keeping your brand in people's minds so that they will return to your site and take action. Okay.
Yep.
And the lists that you build up with this retargeting, you can reuse for other things. You can run other ads against them as well. But the key thing is what type of person that is. So, for example, if someone's visited my keyword tool site, then I know they're interested in keyword research tools, obviously, but they're also likely to be interested in SEO. So I can retarget them and then display ads, for several times for my keyword tool, and then I might rotate that to another SEO tool, and then perhaps another SEO tool, because I know that it's very, very targeted. I know exactly what that person's interested in, and it's a really, really effective way then of getting sales and conversions.
Yeah, retargeting is so cheap compared to cold.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the what we want to just cover at the end here, and maybe you want to talk a bit about this, and that is that getting eyeballs on ads is the key. Okay, tracking it, and we talked all about that. We talked about creating eye-catching ads so people will actually take action and click. And then what do you do once they've clicked? Well, ideally, you want to get them opt-in. You want to get them on a list, because once you've got them on a list, then you can mail them, or you can even drop a retargeting cookie, as we just said, and replay your ads over time. So Brad, you've got a package that you just put together, right, on this,
Yes, sir.
and it's called 10. What's it called? 10 million.
10 million visitors is what we call it.
10 million visitors.
It's an opportunity for you to get a 120 by 60 banner in front of 10 million visitors from the U.S., U.K., and Canada in a specific demographic we can talk through that will see your ad for a fraction of the price you would normally pay. It's something that we call an offer wall, where essentially we put you beside a whole bunch of other banners, and we load those banners in a random order every time the page loads, so everyone gets a shot at being, at the top and the middle and below the fold and all that kind of stuff. So, but it gives you a shot at those 10 million people.
So and 10 million, just so people understand, is huge, right? To try and get that, or to try and expose any ad to that sort of volume, outside of this offer, is just hugely expensive. Yeah.
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 I don't know if you've got the graph I sent you, but
Yeah, I did. I think it was here. Here we go.
There we go. Okay. Okay, yeah. So that's me with the big bag of money there, because that's what I would have to fork over if I wanted to advertise on some of these websites. Facebook, as we talked about earlier, Facebook is by far one of the cheapest places to buy ad space. So Facebook is $1,400 to get your ad in front of 10 million eyeballs, based on the sort of average 14-cent CPM rate that they charge. To get in front of 16 to 44-year-old males, which is our demographic for our offer, US, UK, Canada. The next one, I just wanted to put this on here because a lot of people traditionally say that adult advertising is really cheap. Pornhub is, the one of the most visited adult websites on the internet. They're number one for porn on Google. They have been for quite some time. In fact, I used to compete with them back when I was in the adult business my site and their site were constantly rallying for number one, number two spot. They won, but anyway, they charge $6,800 for average based on their average CPM for the same number of impressions. And that's also for them. That's not as geo targeted. That would be much more worldwide. So you'd have Chinese traffic in there. You'd have you know, a bit more of a wide audience. And then Hulu.com, you know, is a TV show type of website where people can watch TV. It only works in the United States. We don't get the privilege of free TV on the internet here in Canada. I don't think you get Hulu over there either. But Hulu is $350,000, so $35 CPM. Cost per mil, which is cost per 1,000 banner impressions, for those of you who don't know, works out to $350,000 to advertise to 10 million people using Hulu.com. ABC.com is $450,000, and WebMD. Now, obviously, we're not in the pharmaceuticals business here, but you know, if you were in that business or you're in the health and wellness business, WebMD.com costs $500,000 to expose your brand to 10 million people. And there's something interesting that people don't realize is that these sites that charge a lot of money on a CPM rate, like ABC.com, like Hulu, these guys are also buying traffic from some of the cheaper sources. And you know, internally we refer to it as baking soda in the cocaine. So basically, what they're doing is, you know, I'm not going to call out any names here, but let's say any of the TV networks that are charging a fortune for their advertising, they'll go and they'll buy visitors to their website. You know, pop under visitors, the same visitors that we're buying basically to get the 10 million eyeballs. They'll go and buy millions and millions and millions of hits. And they'll buy those hits, you know, for maybe let's say for every $350,000 Hulu might make, they could go and spend $2,000 to generate that by buying cheap traffic elsewhere. So obviously they can't just sell crappy traffic, but they can pad out their high quality viewership with cheaper traffic. And get more more dollars CPM. And the funny thing is, what a lot of people don't realize is, if you're charging $35 CPM, that's usually times 3 or 4 ads on your page. So you know, for every 10 million visitors Hulu gets, they might make 4 times that $350,000 in advertising fees.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then of course WebMD. Because that's not.
Yeah, I mean, obviously medical is one of the most expensive audiences on the net, right? They're going to be spending, so and the companies that are buying that traffic have big budgets.
Cool. So I guess, you know, in terms of the value, you know, getting these eyeballs, you know, it's a no-brainer, right? And you know, so we sort of gone through the types of things that you need to do to get set up on that if you're not already. And Brad's put together an offer, you know, called 10 million visitors, and you can go to that, you know, right now, and you know, there's the URL. It's called 000 or u.me 10m, and you know, you can grab that. And you know, there's 3 different packages I think you're offering, Brad, right?
Yeah, you can get a text link, which goes below the banner block. You know, we're expecting 10 million visitors.com is going to get a lot of authority and a lot of love. So if you're buying text links, it's a good opportunity. The next level up is a 120 by 60 banner that goes on that goes in the banner block, the offer wall, and like I said earlier, they get randomly. The order of the banners is randomly rotated. Your banner will always load, but where it loads in the block will always be different. And then the last option is the same size banner, 120 by 60 banner with a 300 by 200 iframe overlay, which we have a demo of on our sales page. But essentially, you can autoplay a YouTube video right on our landing page. So if someone messes over your banner, you can autoplay a YouTube video. You can fire your retargeting pixel so that you'd be able to access a good chunk of those visitors again in the future. You can do whatever you want with that frame. You can put another call to action. You can put a bigger banner in there. You can have more information, whatever you want.
Right. Okay. And people can, and I asked you this earlier. People can change it, right? So if they set up their ad and everything, then as the traffic comes through over like what 60 days, is it?
Yeah, it takes 60 to 90 days for all 10 million visitors to hit the page.
Okay.
Mainly because we wanted, we could drop them all in a single day, but I think we would create a lot of problems for people because they wouldn't be able to handle the traffic and everything else. So we decided to spread it out over about 60 to 90 days, just so that people would have time to test different banners and different. You can, like you said, the banner is on your website. You just give us the link to it, and then every time our web page loads, it calls your website for that banner. So that
Yeah.
means that anytime you want, you can upload a new image to overwrite that old one, and we'll start displaying that new banner instantly for you. So it gives you total control over what displays on the page, and if a banner is working or not working, or you just want to, want to start charting that test data, you can swap that banner out every minute, every hour, every day, every week, any frequency you want.
Yeah. Which is brilliant because then you can actually rotate what works, what doesn't work, etc.
Yeah, you
And
host
you
a
got
banner,
time
and
to
you
do it.
exactly. Yeah, you've got lots of time to do it, lots of time to look at the results. You don't have to, sit there and refresh, watch all the traffic disappear in 24 hours. It gives you some time to play around with it and to track. But yeah, you host the banner, and then you can give us a short URL or any kind of redirect URL that you have, so that you can change where that banner clicks through to. And then the same with your iframe. You just give us a link to an HTML page. We have all the instructions on how to do this. You just give us a link to a page on your website, and you can put anything on that page you want. A YouTube video, a bigger banner, anything you want.
Cool. Brilliant. So, all you need to do is go to that URL, oo.me /10m, and I'll put that in a chat box. And, just to help you with, creating these banners and everything, I'm going to throw in a copy of a Banner Crusher. And so that will help you, create these. And, it's a good complement, to the main offer. Because you're going to need to create, some sort of banners, and this is the perfect tool to do that, because you're going to be able to do it in literally, 2 minutes, as opposed to messing around with graphics and all that sort of stuff. So that's the offer we're putting together. Go to that page. It's a great deal. I think you can see how much 10 million impressions costs. Through the conventional through the conventional media, but doing it on this kind of group by basis, which is what Brad's putting together, just gives you a huge amount of impact and impressions on your ads, right? So I think, anything else you want to say about that, Brad?
No, I think you framed it nicely. I mean, it's a cooperative, right? We're all going in on ad space and getting it for by sharing the wall. We're getting it for a lot less money than we can get it anywhere else, which makes it awesome.
Right. Cool. All right. Well, look, I'll stay on in the chat box in case anyone has any questions. But I know you need to shoot off, Brad. But thanks for your time. Really appreciate that. I think people are going to have fun with this. It's going to be a really interesting way of getting high volume traffic to your ads and to your site. So yeah, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me, Paul. It was great,
Yeah.
and hope to see you guys on the offer wall. Have a great one.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thanks, Brad.